Hello, today I'm going to be teaching you how to bias the Marshall DSL15, the head or the combo version. I have the combo version. Please note that my amplifier has been modded with an added effects loop, and that is what that red board is. It will not affect how you do the bias procedure. Please note a little bit of safety and precautions. At any given point, there are parts in this amplifier that are going to exceed about 400 volts of electricity, which will hurt you very badly. So at all times, please only have one hand inside the chassis. Try to put your other hand in a pocket somewhere or far away from the chassis. You don't want to become part of that circuit. So the numbers you're going to need to do the equations to figure out what your bias setting should be are your max tube dissipation wattage, which you will need to look up per specific brand. I'm using JJ tubes. I have looked them up. The max wattage dissipation for those is 14 watts. I believe the same also goes for TAD 6v6s, but certain 6v6 brands only go to a max wattage of 12. So be sure to look up that information for your favorite brand. The next number you're going to need to know is your plate voltage, which we will test via pin 3. If you look at V6 down here, it is this pin right here, pin 3, the one that the trace goes to. I don't want to touch it because this amplifier is on. Same goes for the V5. So you want to make sure your multimeter is set to something above 500 volts DC. I got it set to 1000. And you want to make sure you have something grounded to the chassis there for the multimeter. Make sure you have a load when you turn it on. And I recommend you turn your volume all the way down. To get our plate voltage, we're going to test pin 3. Remember, only one hand in the chassis. Okay, good. I can't. Hang on. Be very careful once you're doing this that you do not cross connect any of the different pins or. So we're getting 398 on pin 3. Yeah, I got 399, basically 400 on pin 3. Test on the other side. What's going on? Something's not connected here. Yes, 399, so basically 400 volts. So I'm going to turn off that chassis for a moment because I do need to switch my bias prongs, or Be aware that there's still electricity in your power caps and various parts of the system, even after you've turned it off for several minutes, so be very careful. The next setting we're going to need is to test something in the range of 200 millivolts, I guess. I have 200 millivolt settings, so that's what I'll be using to test the bias setting itself. So now that we have those numbers, we know that my max tube dissipation, or max wattage for my JJ 6v6s is 14 volts. Now I tested earlier, before I did this video, and my plate voltage was at 401 after letting the amp sit for a good 10 minutes. So you want to do max wattage dissipation of the specific tube divided by the plate voltage that you've just tested. Then you want to times that by 0.7 to give you the 70%, which will be the max setting you would want for your tubes. Now that we have that, here's the math. You'll get a number like this, times that by 1000 to give you what that'll be for your actual bias setting. So the maximum I would want is 24.4 millivolts on either side of this tube. Now we can test that. Our trim pots for this amplifier are located just below the switch on the back of the amp for changing to half power and full power. So there's a trim pot here, and just to the right there's one there, controlling either side of the tubes. Your test point is located between V5 and 6, just above those resistors at connector 6A. The center pin is your ground, and the left and right outer pins control these two left and right outer pins, respectively controlling your left and right power tubes. Excuse me. So, just give me a second here. I'm going to change out the ends. I'm lucky I have one of those switchable one. If I can just get that off here. Where's my promise? Here we go. Just gonna set this camera down for a second. I apologize for the angle. You can have a nice view of my basement ceiling for a second. Try to make this quickly. Okay, here we are. Sorry about that. I don't have any video editing skills. So I switched out for these lovely little hooks. I find them very useful. So my amplifier's still off at the moment. We're just gonna connect the black ground to our center pin. This is more difficult than I thought it would be with one hand. Make sure we got a good connection there. And then we'll test the right side first. Okay, settings correct. Turn it on, give it a couple of seconds. To get full powered, you'll notice that number's going to increase in a couple of seconds. Once power starts going to the amp, there we go. Now, as we have tested prior, our max one there we would want would be 24.4. That is clearly going way above that. Let's see if it goes back down. It's a little high on the right side. Let's test our left side. And that one is also a little high at 25.5. They're pretty neck and neck, but it's still high. We want to go down a bit. So I'm going to probably aim for about 24, just to give myself a little buffer. So what side are we testing first? Left. We're going to go with trim pot 1. Right here, as you can see. And then very slight turn. Now we're down to 23.1. What did I say? 24? Go up a little bit. This is very finicky. Too high. Down. Yeah, that's probably good. Yeah, it'll fluctuate a little bit back and forth. And that's okay. So we're going to unclip that. Be very careful not to connect anything with your hands in here. You don't want to become part of that circuit. I have foolishly made the mistake of accidentally doing that, and I can tell you 400 volts across the hand does not feel nice. Okay, let's see if we can get a good view. Oh, that went up. That one's down to 24.6 now on the right side. Okay, we'll just back it off a little bit. Back it off. Oh, too far. Just the slightest of motions. Come on, I need you up there. A little more. You want to test these both sides a couple of times because this will fluctuate a bit. There's a slight amount of burn-in. Too high. And when you adjust one side, it will change the setting on the other side as well. Come on. This side's really finicky. There's a wire pushing against this screwdriver. Not that far, come on. It wants to fight me. And then once you have that, play through it a bit and test it. Like I said, that mathematical equation will give you the highest setting you want. If you want it to be a little more clearer and less fizzy, you would lower it down a little bit. I'd say you're probably safe anywhere between 20 millivolts and 24. Maybe ebb on the side of caution. This little guy just wants to be finicky. I think my screwdriver is a little too big for this. Come on. Yeah, that's pretty close. 24, right on the dot. Let's test my other side again, being very careful. And get on there. Yeet. And that side is, it only went down by like 0.9, but that shouldn't be too big of a deal. It'll fluctuate a bit. They're pretty even, I think. 23.7, 23.8. Let's double check the other side again. See if that moved on me. 24.2. Yeah, went up a little bit. 21. Yeah, I'll bring up this left side just slightly. Hopefully I don't overdo it and make this video too long. Come on. Well, no, too far. Like the slightest little millimeter will make these things go high. Come on. Down. Don't want to burn out my tubes too quickly. This part isn't the most fun. But that's the general idea. I'll adjust this in a few minutes. Another thing you can buy, and I actually highly recommend this version to test your plate voltage, is by getting a plate voltage socket adapter that will plug into your multimeter. And you would plug the power tube into the top of this, right here, like you normally would, and then slot this in to the slot on the chassis of your amplifier, so it goes in between the tube and the amplifier and gives you a direct reading on your multimeter for your plate voltage. They also come in screen current as well, but I prefer the plate voltage kind. This was about $20. It's a CT1 plate version. I forget the manufacturer, but it's on Amazon, and it was about $20, so I think they're actually really worth it. It's much safer, and you won't have your hand inside near all these playing with that 400 volts and risking getting shocked. So that's it. I'm just going to slightly adjust this on my own, but that is essentially how you would bias this amplifier. Take care.